Jason Bowler, Sean Byrne from Ethos Engineering. Welcome to Talent Week.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for inviting us.
And I love your backgrounds. You've been up all night building those backgrounds, I'd say.
They look quite worried about it. Yeah.
We look like one big, large green screen, you know, like what you see in Disney. But it's great to have you here on the show. We're delighted to kick off Talent Month with two lads from our partner, Ethos Engineering. And really what this Talent Month is about is trying to get to know more about who you are as distinct to what you do. And you have great backgrounds. Both of you don't come from the same type of background to arrive at Ethos Engineering doing what you do. So I'll start with yourself, Sean.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So that's the great question. What do I do? So a lot of what we do is very varied. So I'm mechanical engineer. So I design the mechanical systems in the data center, but that sounds quite boring, but it's not what we do. We're not just stuck behind a computer. We're out on site. We're traveling the world. We're meeting people face to face. We're meeting clients. So you might say I'm a mechanical engineer, but there's a lot to being a mechanical engineer. It's not just about doing your schematics, doing your ventilation designs. It's basically a well-rounded career.
And that's a great link to Jason. You know, the title, you know, it's a bit like a soccer team. I'm a left full back, you know, but a left full back doesn't just kick the ball up the field anymore. They run up and down like a winger. They have to be center forward on occasion. So I guess, what do you do, and how would you describe what you do, irrespective of the title?
Right. So, well, the title is a funny one because because the BIM itself is so new, I suppose. They're trying to make up titles for people that fit them into certain sections of it and what you are and what you aren't. But well, what I do anyway, and for Ethos is, you know, as the BIM lead, I'm kind of the point of contact on the data center team. So, you know, have been here, I think it was 4 years now. I've got a notification on my LinkedIn 2 days ago about being here 4 years. So I've gone from being a BIM technician up to a BIM lead in the last couple of years. So, you know, I'm kind of, as I said, the kind of the main point of contact for anything to do with Revit models now and BIM coordination. And, you know, it's a good place to be because, you know, like Sean there is mechanically biased. I kind of get a taste of everything, you know, from mechanical to electrical to anything undergrounds. And
for those that aren't overly familiar, and every industry is full of jargon, I realize that, but BIM, it sounds like something you get a cream for.
Well,
what does it stand for?
Anytime my friends ask me what I do, I never know how to answer them straight because they don't know exactly what the hell it is, you know.
No, but BIM is what's it stand for again? What's the 3-letter acronym again?
Building information management or building information modeling. They don't even know which way to go over it.
Yeah, no, but you know, the reason I say that is I'm a townie. I don't know about you. I'm a townie, so I went off yesterday to a farming thing to learn more about farming and technologies of farming and stuff. And the first thing that struck me was, Genie Mac, every industry, no matter what, has jargon.
Yeah.
Jargon.
He kind of brings maybe the mechanical design and the electrical designs to life. So there's no point, like in today's world, a lot of the guys the contractors will want a 3D model of their building. So that's what Jason does. He takes our designs and sometimes tells us that's not going to work. Do it this way. He just creates basically a 3D model of what's in my head or what I want to do. It's kind of the simple thing of what he does.
And isn't that wonderful that because not all, some of us are better with technical, some of us are better with drawing, some of us are better with music and stuff. Whereas I think we all agree when we can see something tangible, a 3D, and even now I see, and maybe this is where the world is going to very quickly, is digital twins. the concept of a digital twin, which effectively is the next layer, is it? It's where you bring in all the component parts into something. Is it 4D? Would one suggest it might even be 4D? I mean,
Well, they've gone from 4D, 5D, 6D. I think I seen 8D in an article there the other day. I don't even know how far more they could go.
You get popcorn with that, do you?
Yeah, you know, it's well, I'll tell you how I kind of ended up in it. I kind of started out as a graduate engineer. You know, back when went through college at the time of the economic recession, the same as everyone kind of did, and I ended up in the UK and went in as a graduate engineer to consultancy, and you know, they showed me this BIM model inside the first days at the interview, and I was like, what the hell is that? Never heard of it in 4 years of college, never brought it up. You know, as far as you get was a 2D drawing that you did yourself. But no, I kind of tucked it very quickly, you know, as a graduate engineer, and kind of stayed on that side of it. Just found it more interesting, and you never got to the end of it. There was always more to find out, and even now it's just changing so quickly that you need to be trying to keep ahead of the game more than keep up with it, you know, to get the best product out there, you know. So
that brings up a really interesting thought, isn't it? With our fellas like me, when we have young children going into first year in college and sixth class or sixth year in school, and you're talking about what they want to be, you know, and as you rightly said there, you'd gone through. Not only had you gone through the education system, but you'd gone through college, and yet you ended up working on something you'd never even seen.
Yeah.
Which feeds into the whole excitement, if you want to call it. For different generations, it might have been the opposite. But the statistics, like kids of 15 today, 35% of them will work in jobs in 10 years that haven't even been invented.
That's what they're saying, Gary. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
But you're working in a job effectively that maybe 10 years ago.
Or 10 years' time, I mightn't be here. So that's the worry thing.
Maybe you'll be replaced by a BIM model or a digital twin. But Sean, you know, it does bring up a really interesting chat about how do you prepare? You're close to 10 less years from that time when you were trying to say, well, I seem to be very good at maths, or I seem to be very good at, and you're meeting your career guidance person, and sure, what sort of would you like to have known then, or not known then, that was useful for you over the last, how long are you in the workplace? Are you 5 years in the workplace?
3 years now.
3 years. So 8 years ago, let's say, you were in with that guidance counselor, and how did that discussion go compared to where you are now?
So when I was with my guidance counselor, she told me maths, do a maths degree, everything to do with maths you're great at. But like what I wanted to do was do something with buildings. So I loved the idea of building things, whether it be Lego, Minecraft. When I was younger, I was really into building things. And that's I half listened to what she said and decided, actually, I think engineering is for me. So going into college, I wasn't quite sure what mechanical. Well, I went to UCD, so we had engineering was like common in first year, so we got a taste of everything. Which for any graduate out there or anyone looking at engineering, I'd strongly suggest that in the first year, try and get a degree that you're doing everything, because I going in thought I was going to do civil, and then I realized civils don't technically always build things. They design the roads, they design the drainage. It's actually structural engineers that do the buildings. But I just fell in love with mechanical engineering and kind of adapting my love of maths with building things. And even my degree is not overly related to what I do now. Like in college, I would have never learned how to size ductwork, how to design chill water systems. It's just, as Jason said earlier, you have to constantly develop yourself for the future.
The other bit that both of you seem to allude to, I might say, rather than specific, is it's great having all this knowledge, but if you can't communicate it, Because if everything was going to go in a straight line, it'd be easy, but it's actually not. That's the other thing you find, isn't it? That you might have the best design and the best this and that, but then you have to communicate that with someone else who has to understand it and stuff. And is that where a lot of these tools come in that are helpful? Visuals,
for
tools.
me, especially me trying to describe something in a 3D world without having a 3D form, I'd have no hope. I'd be saying this goes there, that goes there, but with Jason's 3D model, it just makes it so much easier. I feel people find it a lot easier if they can look at something rather than me trying to describe in words how it's done.
And I guess, Jason, when I think of sort of young fellas up in their room at the moment, all playing sort of shoot me up games and lean in, so they VR, AR, they rock up to your job and probably say, well, can I not shoot anybody? Can I not?
Yeah.
Can I do more with this thing?
Where's the remote controller?
Yeah. But is there an evolution? I mean, you probably had to learn a little bit about sort of the whole interactive world and the interactive and the 3D and the 4D. Whereas those lads, they're ready made. They just say, well, where's the controller? Where's the thing? Let's just jump in. Are you seeing any of that?
Well, yeah, I suppose like they'd have more exposure to it in terms of, gaming side of things. And I suppose, for the older generation, they used to go back to drawing on, paper with pencils and compasses and stuff. So even, there's a constant evolution there from
pencil in his hand.
Yeah. So, like you said, things are constantly evolving, and maybe like you said, in 10 years time, we mightn't even be using laptops, or there'll be some other tool that's out there to, bypass it again. So it's interesting to see where it's going to go.
Well, I love what you've just said, and Sean, you said it earlier as well. It's tools. They're just tools. They're just new tools. They're enhanced tools. And the fear. I mean, you guys, which is wonderful. My goodness, how wonderful it is. There's no fear about subjecting yourself to these new tools, whereas maybe before there was always this sort of, well, I'm not that technically literate. I'm not very good with computers. It's really that, that's nearly saying I'm afraid of a pencil in your world, right? And in our world, in our collective world, that it means that fear is gone. Then you can really work with the tools. So getting back to yourselves, and getting back to sort of the next 10 years, right? What's genuinely, just for a moment, what would you think is going to be the evolution of your role, Sean, in 10 years? And what would you say to a 20-year-old Sean, to the point you said, or a 19-year-old maybe, that's looking at, I like building stuff. So that's two questions. What would you tell yourself when you're 19, or an equivalent of you? And what do you think the skills are going to be needed in 10 years from where you see things?
Well, for skills that are going to be needed is that, like, I don't think I'm going to be able to rely on Jason for the rest of my life. I'm going to have some of my own, being able to do some of what Jason does. So I can't just be purely technical, and I have to have a hybrid kind of a technical with a practical knowledge. And then what would I tell a 19-year-old is never close doors. So I was very much, I saw something, like you said, I saw computer science. Oh no, I hated that. I can't do that. But then over time, you realize that there's no point in closing these doors at an early stage. You never know when you're going to need these skills. That's kind of what I should have told myself back then. But there's lots of things I should have told myself. I probably wouldn't be here talking to you today, Gary, if I told myself some of these things.
Isn't that the truth, though? I mean, I'm often asked about these things called wisdom and age. Jesus, that's all just the labels we put to the mistakes that we made, and we make a nice fancy label for it. So, Jason, do you hear what he's after saying? He's going to learn your job. So I have to, or he and his gang are going to be doing bits of your job. So what are you going to do? What's your next? Well,
the difference on my side of things, I suppose, is obviously working for engineering consultants, all the guys at the very top are, engineers with a long time, and they've hired me to do a job, but I can guarantee you they have no idea how I do my job. So I think I'll have to kind of, or where the BIM guys, they kind of, they see a gap in what we need to do things better, and suggest it to the people above us that, this is going to make our lives easier, or this is going to add value to what we do and add value to us as a company. If we can put the right tools in place. Again, it's back to the tools, but in terms of talking to a 19 or 20-year-old myself, I suppose, you were talking about career guidance. You're talking about career guidance teachers. My career guidance teacher told me to go away and learn something to do with computers, and you'll never not have a job. So that's the same advice as I give to myself 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I guess I come from slightly a different era in one respect, but there's no fear. I feel no fear from either of you two as we're on this chat about sort of not having opportunities to pursue. Am I reading it right? Irrespective, like Sean has just said there, don't, if you're a 19 version of me, don't sort of, if computer science, there's probably a part of that you'd use. There's a lack of fear. Whereas when we were coming out, different generation, we were electricians, and that's the deep and narrow area that you looked in the world, the filter of that, and it had structure. Oh, I'd never become one of them, but there's no fear coming across from either of you two. If that's the journey that we take, if I skill up, if I do this and I put myself in the position, then why not? Is that it?
Well, like, since the world of COVID, and I hate talking about it, the world's become a lot smaller. The remote working gives, so much opportunity to people. Like, we've people working now for us from South Africa and all over the world. So as long as teams keep moving the way they are, I mean, things will be, better than it was for us, as I suppose it was for you when you were growing up, that there's more opportunities, and just keep yourself out there, and you'll be all right, I'd say.
I think it's a mindset as well. Sean, you have a different mindset now to.
Yeah, so I think our CEO Greg has a good phrase. You kind of innovate or die. So if you're not looking to progress your career, if you don't look to the future, you're just going to get caught on the conveyor belt, and you won't go very far. I'd say to graduates out there, even guys getting their leaving cert results tomorrow, if it doesn't go your way, it's not the end of the world. There's loads of different ways. There's plenty of people on our team that didn't go the same route as I do. They were electricians, they were mechanical fitters, and now they're the best engineers in the company. So there's not just one route to success.
You often think about sport, don't you? The way there's all different types, shapes, and sizes on a rugby pitch, or a soccer pitch, or a hockey pitch, or a cricket pitch, and they still all just pull the same line to win the match. So I've enjoyed this. I think I'm going to come back in 10 years to see where both of you are, and we'll stress test it against what was said. We'll call this like a capsule, one of those capsules that you bury and you give yourself a little
get out and see.
You give yourself a note. So Sean, Jason, it's been short, sharp, but interesting. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you on the 31st of September 2032.
Hopefully.
Virtually in an avatar.